Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I'm Greg, and in each episode, we'll explore the spending plan of a household through the eyes of three financial experts, Dave Ramsey, the Money Guys, and Ramit Sethi. I'm not a financial expert, I'm just a guy with some spreadsheets and a calculator. Welcome to Money Month. Today we're going to revisit the spending plan of a couple in their late 40s from Tennessee with 2 children. Let's get started. Okay, couple from Tennessee, let's review your spending plan. Your assets are $355,000, investments $189,000, emergency fund $26,700, pre-planned savings $32,500, high interest debt $0, low interest debt is $68,500, which is your mortgage, for a total net worth of $534,700. Your gross monthly income is $10,500. Net monthly income is $8,500. For fixed costs, your mortgage is $1,100, groceries $1,100, credit card $0, water $50, electricity $110, gas $70, trash $100, internet $225, cable $0, phone $240, insurance $160, low interest debt payment $0, transportation $200, clothes $50, subscriptions $50, college student expenses $250, high school student expenses $150, miscellaneous $560, for a total fixed cost of $4,315. For your investments, you have $1,916 in pre-tax retirement savings, $100 in post-tax retirement savings, for a total of $2,016. For savings goals, you're saving $0 into your emergency fund, $200 into vacations, $200 into vehicles, $200 into gifts, $100 into new technology, $500 for college savings, for a total savings of $1,200. And for guilt-free spending, you are spending $969. Last episode, we looked at this spending plan through the eyes of the Money Guys. This episode, let's see what Ramit Sethi would say about this. On his podcast and in his book, Ramit Sethi emphasizes the importance of allocating certain percentages of your net income to different spending categories. Ramit recommends that fixed costs should be about 50 to 60% of your net income. Investments should be 10 to 15%, savings should be 5 to 10%, and guilt-free spending should be 20 to 35%. This is the most distinctive part of his approach when compared to the approach of Dave Ramsey and the Money Guys. His thinking is that if you get these percentages right, then everything else will fall into place. If your fixed costs are higher than 60%, then you'll probably feel financially stressed, like money is too tight, and that you need to live paycheck to paycheck. And if your investments are too low, then you're not setting yourself up for a rich life when you retire. If your savings percentage is too low, then you won't have anything to fall back on when an emergency comes or when a future expense arrives. So you may be tempted to incur credit card debt, which is not the path to a rich life. And lastly, if your guilt-free spending percentage is too low, then you may not be enjoying your life all that much, and you may never learn the skills of how to spend money. So let's see where you are with all of these percentages. Your fixed costs are 51% of your net monthly income, which is within Ramit's recommended range of 50 to 60%. So I would think Ramit would say, good job, nothing to change here. Let's move on to your investments. Your investment percentage is 24% of your net monthly income, 2016, which is higher than Ramit's recommended range of 10 to 15%, 850 to 1275. My understanding is that Ramit is all for having an investment percentage greater than 15% in order to reach your retirement goals, as long as your other percentages fall within his recommended ranges. So let's look at those first before deciding whether to change your investment percentage. For savings goals, you're saving $1,200 per month, which is 14% of your net monthly income, which is above Ramit's suggested range of 5 to 10%, which would be $425 to $850. Again, my understanding is that Ramit is all for having a savings percentage that's greater than 10% in order to reach your savings goals, as long as your other percentages fall within his recommended ranges. So let's look at the last category, guilt-free spending, before deciding to change your savings percentage. Ramit often says he wants you to live a rich life both in the future and today, spending extravagantly on the things you love and cutting back on things that aren't important to you. To start living your rich life today, his recommended percentage for guilt-free spending is 20 to 35% of your net monthly income, which would be in the range of $1,700 to $2,975. You currently have $969, 11% going towards guilt-free spending. My guess is that Ramit would recommend increasing your guilt-free spending to 20%, which would be $1,700. This would mean allocating an additional $731 towards guilt-free spending. Where would this money come from? Since both your investments percentage and savings goals percentage are higher than Ramit recommends, you could move some money from one or both of those categories into your guilt-free spending. Let's revisit each of those categories one more time. Your investment percentage is 24% of your net monthly income, 2016. Let's look at a retirement calculator to see what this investing will add up to when you reach retirement age. I know you're in your late 40s, so let's say you're 48. For 17 years until you're 65, you would contribute $2,016 per month, plus the $100 employer match, to total $25,392 per year. You already have $189,000 in investments, and let's assume a conservative 7% rate of return. By age 65, without ever increasing your contributions in 17 years, you should have about $1,380,111. With a 4% safe withdrawal rate, that would give you about $55,204 to live off of in retirement each year. Would $55,204 be more than enough for you to live off of? If so, we can reduce your investments and allocate some of that money to guilt-free spending. $55,204 per year is about $4,600 per month, minus whatever percentage you would owe in taxes. I don't know what that would be, so I'm going to guess maybe 20%. 20% of $4,600 is $920, so your net monthly income would be $3,700. Would that cover your fixed costs? As we discussed in the previous 2 episodes, your mortgage would be paid off in about 8 or 9 years, which is well before you retire. So instead of paying $1,100 per month, you would just pay the property taxes, home insurance, etc., which I'm guessing would be about $350 per month. And your kids would be done with both high school and college by then as well, so you can remove those expenses from your fixed costs to bring it down to $3,165. This would leave you with $535 to spend on savings goals and guilt-free spending. So while this seems possible to live off of in retirement, it doesn't seem like more than enough. So I'd be reluctant to have you reduce your investments percentage from 24% to 15%. So let's revisit your savings goals again and see if that could be reduced so you can allocate more to guilt-free spending. When I look at some of these items on your savings goals, it makes me question whether they should also count as guilt-free spending. Isn't a vacation a form of guilt-free spending? Is it new technology? What about gifts? You're saving for these items in advance, which is great, but that doesn't mean they're not a form of guilt-free spending. If we were to count those as a form of guilt-free spending, that would total $500 per month of additional guilt-free spending. In order to hit 20%, you would need to find another $231 to spend on guilt-free spending. Your options are to take money away from your savings for vehicles or your savings for children's college funds. As a parent, I would find it hard to spend the college fund money on myself guilt-free, so I'm guessing you would want to take the vehicle money to use for guilt-free spending instead of the college fund money, which would bring your guilt-free spending close to the 20% target, just $31 shy. And don't forget that, as we said before, in about 8 or 9 years, your mortgage would be paid off and you would be done paying for those high school and college expenses, which would free up $1,650 that you could use toward guilt-free spending. To hit the 20% target, you would use $731 of that $1,650, leaving you with $919 for other spending categories like savings goals and investments. If you split that evenly between the two categories, you would increase your savings and investments by about $459 each. As you get closer to retirement age, Ramit and the other experts recommend building up an emergency fund of 12 to 18 months of expenses. So I'm going to guess that's where you would want to allocate that $459 for your savings goals. We determined that by the time you retire, your fixed cost would be $3,165. A 12 to 18 month emergency fund would be $37,980 to $56,970. You already have $26,700 in your emergency fund, so for the 12-month emergency fund, you would need to save an additional $11,280. For the 18-month emergency fund, you would need to save an additional $30,270. Saving $459 per month, it would take you 25 months, about 2 years for the 12-month emergency fund, and 66 months, about 5.5 years for the 18-month emergency fund. For investments, we said we would add an additional $459 after the house is paid off and the kids are done with high school and college. Let's look at a retirement calculator again to see what that additional investing could add up to when you retire. Let's say it takes you 9 years to pay off the house. For 9 years, from age 48 to age 57, you would contribute $2,016 per month plus the $100 employer match to total $25,392 per year. You already had $189,000 in investments, and again, let's assume a conservative 7% rate of return. By age 57, you would have $651,614. at which time your house would be paid off, you would have no more college expenses, etc., and you would increase your investments to $2,475 per month, plus the $100 employer match to total $30,900 per year. You would contribute that amount from age 57 to age 65. By age 65, you should have about $1,436,622. With a 4% safe withdrawal rate, that would give you about $57,465 to live off of in retirement each year. And of course, if you ever get raises and you're able to increase your contributions during those years, your savings could add up to a lot more than that. One last thing that we didn't discuss yet is the allocation of those investments into investment accounts. In his book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Ramit recommends a similar sequence of investing allocations that Dave Ramsey and the Money Guys recommend. First, invest enough to get your employer match. Then max out your Roth IRA. Then max out your pre-tax retirement plan. Then max out your health savings account if you have access to one. And if you still have money left over, then put it in a regular non-retirement taxable investment account. As I said before, for the first 9 years, you would be investing $2,016 per month. For the employer match, let's assume it's $100. So now you have $1,916 left. For maxing out your Roth IRA, you'd have to look up what the limits are, but in 2024, if you're under age 50, you can contribute $7,000 per year, which is $583 per month for 12 months of contributions. Adjust as necessary if you're starting later in the year. After allocating $583 into a Roth IRA, you now have $1,333 left to invest. On to the HSA. In 2024, families can contribute up to $8,300 into their health savings accounts, which is $691 per month for the 12 months of contributions. After allocating $691 into your HSA, you now have $642 left to invest. Back to the 401k. For 2024, the 401k contribution limit is $23,000 per year, which is about $1,916 per month. Adding your remaining $642 to the $100 you're already contributing to your 401k brings your 401k contribution to $742. We determined that after your house is paid off and your kids are done with high school and college, you can contribute an additional $459 to your investments. So you would contribute that $459 to your 401k to bring it to $1,201, which is still within the max limit of $1,916. To recap, we left your fixed costs at 51% of your net monthly income, since it's within Ramit's recommended range of 50 to 60%. Your investment percentage is 24%, which is higher than Ramit's recommended range of 10 to 15%, but we left it as is in order to reach enough savings for your retirement. And after 9 years, when your house is paid off and you're done paying for your high school and college expenses, you would increase your investment percentage to 29%. You already have more than a 6-month emergency fund. Your savings goals percentage is 14% of your net monthly income, which is above Ramit's suggested range of 5 to 10%. So we reduced it down to 12%. But after 9 years, when your house is paid off and you're done paying for high school and college expenses, you would increase it back to 14%. And it would then take you about 5.5 years more to save up an 18-month emergency fund. And your guilt-free spending is currently 11%, which is below Ramit's recommended range of 20 to 35%. So we increased it to 14%. And we also said that $500 of your emergency fund would count as guilt-free spending as well, which would be about 18% of your net monthly income. After 9 years, when your house is paid off and you're done paying for high school and college expenses, you would increase your guilt-free spending to 20% without factoring in any of your savings goals that might also count toward guilt-free spending. And by age 65, you would have about $1,436,622 saved for retirement. If you followed Dave Ramsey's baby steps, your house would be paid off in about 8 years, and by age 65, you would have about $1,216,904 saved for retirement. At the beginning, you would spend $969 per month on guilt-free spending until your house was paid off, and then you could increase this to $1,628 per month. If you followed the Money Guy's financial order of operations, your house would be paid off in about 9 years, and by age 65, you would have about $1,670,000 saved for retirement. At the beginning, you would spend $360 per month on guilt-free spending until your house was paid off, when you could increase it to $910 per month. If you follow Ramit's recommended spending percentages, your house would be paid off in about 9 years, and by age 65, you would have about $1,436,622 saved for retirement. At the beginning, you would spend $1,169 per month on guilt-free spending. Then you could increase this to $1,700 per month after your house is paid off and your kids are done with high school and college. If you have any comments or questions about the spreadsheets, the MoneyMonth app, or my analysis of anything, feel free to hit me up in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to you in the comments or in a future episode. I'll put links out there for you to download those for free in case any of those look useful to you. Whether you're following Dave Ramsey's baby steps, the Money Guy's FU, Ramit Sethi's ladder of personal finance, or your own plan, the key is finding a plan that works for you and sticking to it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Money Month. Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, review, add comments, and tell your friends. If you want to play along at home, I'll add some links so you can download the spreadsheets in the desktop app. We'll be back soon with more tips, tricks, and insights to help you achieve your personal finance goals. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making every month count with Money Month.